We couldn't come to you on Tuesday night. My voice is almost out of it for Thursday night. I just got back from Nashville today. What a great city. They say that the skyline is like Gotham. I think it is Gotham, which is wild to me. But I was stuck in a little box called the Gaylord Opryland Hotel. Thankfully, it was a huge box, maybe 2 miles long. But they had some sort of foliage, Jurassic Park growing in there, and I think it's made Steve Dalton sick. Anyway, this is the Chopping Block Podcast. It's Thursday, usually on Tuesday, but it's This Week in College Football, presented by DJ's Clam Shack here in St. Augustine, Florida. And week 11, man, is it really going to be over? Can we get a do-over? If Michigan is banned from bowl season and beats Ohio State, is a one-loss Ohio State in the college football playoff because of Michigan's ban. Dylan, let's see what the last name is. Dart today. Interesting choice with Ole Miss coming to town. But what do you got to say on this?
Well, number one, I just wanted to start it. I'm a little under the weather too, fighting off a little cold symptoms. I need to be sipping on some vitamin D, but like Brock Bowers, I'm gonna be fully healthy by Saturday. That's just a hint for y'all. When it comes to the NCAA, I think it's too early. They're not going to do anything without a full investigation on Michigan. One thing that I've looked at, and I did some research on it, and I find it kind of interesting. So the Big Ten and the college football playoff, they're completely separate entities. So there's a real possibility that the Big Ten feels pressure from all the other coaches, and they suspend Harbaugh, or they do a playoff ban, meaning the Big Ten championship. But the college football playoff has already come out and said there's not definitive proof to any of this. We're not going to punish them for this. And so there's a real chance that they go 12-0, don't have to play in the Big Ten championship, and they still get to the playoff. That's going to be an interesting thing to see, especially if Ohio State goes 11 or 12-1 and wins the Big Ten, who they put in. But it's going to shake out, and it's going to be pretty crazy.
All right, I'm going to ask all you guys the other question here. I actually got the slides backwards. It's part 2 on this one. Is a suspension looming for Harbaugh? And, we already talked about it, Michigan being banned from bowl season. But is there a suspension looming for Harbaugh, Dylan?
Now, that I do think will happen. I don't think it's this year. I think the NCAA will do what they did to him the start of this year, next year, and it'll be a 4 to 6 game suspension, something like that, if he's still in college football. If he doesn't Pete Carroll it and jump ship.
And I wouldn't be shocked about that. Coach Price, what do you got to say on this? We'll start with this one first, and then we'll go to the next one.
Well, there's a suspension that should be given to Jim Harbaugh, but Jim Harbaugh will be your Carolina Panthers head coach next year, because there's no way he's gonna sit around and let them do this to him. Because see, it's gonna be more than just, okay, Jim, you got to go sit down for 4 games. Guess what? He did it this year, and they didn't lose any of the games. So what good is him being suspended really going to do? What's going to happen is he's going to end up getting out of there, because the only way to balance this out is not only if he stays, you're not going to ban him from bowl season, but they're going to lose scholarships. Once they start losing scholarships and they can't sign and recruit the kids that they want to recruit, Michigan will go back downhill. So, sure, a suspension would be looming for him, but he's not going to stick around for it. There's no way he's going to stick around for it. Why would you? Why? And you know that there's opportunity for you to get back to where you really want to be. See, when he was with the 49ers, he had brother with the Baltimore Ravens. Guess where brother is? Still with the Baltimore Ravens. So if you don't think Jim wants to get back to the NFL to put himself back on that same level that his brother is on, then, I don't know what's in the water that you're drinking, But Michigan, they won't ban them from any bowl season games because it's taking too much money out of college football right now anyway. So
Yeah.
I don't see Michigan being banned. I just see Harbaugh, literally tucking his tail and running.
Well, there's one thing about this, and we'll talk about it in the playoff predictor later. There's going to be some teams that have a higher percentage to win this college football playoff that might shock you, according to ESPN. But slide number 2 to this, Coach. If Michigan is banned from bowl season, does a one-loss Ohio State make it in the playoff? And that's a one-loss Ohio State that lost to Michigan.
You would have to put them in there because no matter what, Michigan can't go. Somebody in that conference, hands down, is going to end up in the playoffs just about every year. That conference is kind of like pretty much the SEC. There's no way there's going to be a college football playoff and a team from that conference is not in it. So a one-loss Ohio State to a banned Michigan would absolutely mean nothing other than the fact that you'll have 11-1 Ohio State with an asterisk out beside it in the college football playoffs. But you're not gonna take that conference and punish the whole entire conference because one team was banned when the other team was pretty much number one from day one that you had your playoff rankings. So no, I don't see Ohio State not getting in with a loss to Michigan if Michigan is banned, but a one-loss Ohio State won't get in if Michigan is not banned.
Okay. All right. Let me switch it back here for you. Craig, what do you got to say?
100% suspension is looming for Harbaugh. 100%. The Big Ten can act fast. The NCAA cannot. It's going to take a while for the NCAA to get this. It's going to be like Coach is talking about. It's going to be stuff next year. They're going to take away scholarships. There's going to be some fines. The Big Ten can fine him for sportsmanship. I looked this up, and I actually read all 10 pages of the letter that his attorney sent to the Big Ten. And they're pretty much going to get in litigation if they try to fine him or ban him from any of these games. So when litigation gets involved, you know how long that process takes. And this football season is going at warp speed. So I don't think it's going to be a moot point. They're going to play in the Big Ten championship game. And if they're in position to make the playoffs or they win out, they're going. I don't think that matters whether he's on the sideline or not. I mean, the Big Ten has some power over where he can stand on the sideline in the Big Ten championship game and against Penn State. But, they're not going to spend him for that. It's too late so far. The fly in the ointment here, which you want to talk about like a traffic jam, is if Penn State messes around and beats Michigan. Then we got a real interesting point. I'll elaborate on that later on our pick'em segment. That's kind of what I want to. I was looking at some scenarios of that. That's pretty crazy, man. Some of the stuff that can happen with that deal.
And you took one out of my notes here. We'll also go over that in the playoff predictor. You're going to be shocked when we have this little segment here. But first thing first, before we get to the predictor, the Heisman Power Rankings are back. And let's take a look at them. We're going to see some shocks on here for some of y'all. Number 1, Michael Penix Jr. Number 2, Bo Nix. Number 3, J.J. McCarthy. Number 4, Jordan Travis. And number 5, Beavis himself, Carson Beck. Dylan Dart, I'm going to let you start off with that. What do you got to say about this Heisman Power Rankings? I'll be honest with myself. This might be the best Power Rankings we've had yet.
Yeah, because Carson Beck is on it. That's the only reason.
Yeah.
The only reason.
I actually have another reason, but I'll go over it.
Well, I'm glad. Look, I know 2 turned Tony on here, but I'm glad Bo Nix finally had another Heisman moment, and he can be on this list.
Yeah, he's only had about 12 this year.
Yeah, just a couple. 1 and 2, I think, are locks. I think they're going to be in New York as long as they don't get injured, or I think both teams are going to win out until their conference championship. So I think they're both locks. I would still have Jaden Daniels on here, dude. give a shit. Get JJ McCarthy off this list. His numbers will not be anywhere comparable to any of these guys. And they're cheaters, bad taste in my mouth. Jordan Travis, where he doesn't have the passing yards that these guys have, he makes up for it in rushing. And like I was just saying with Jaden, he has both. So like if you're going strictly off numbers, it's Jaden Daniels, but we got to see if he plays the next week or two with his concussion. And then Carson Beck, he's a guy who's on pace to have 4,000 yards and 30 plus touchdowns. If Georgia wins out and gets to the playoff, he's got a real good shot at being that third guy.
Hey, I'll tell you before I throw it to Craig, the reason I think this list is the best one we've had so far is because number 1 and 2. Because here's my perfect scenario for college football. And honestly, for me, if I can get what I want to tune in on, I don't know what the date is this year, December 8th, December 9th, whatever it may be. The SEC championship comes on at 4. And later that night, we watched the Pac-12 championship between Oregon and Washington, and it's on prime time, and the winner takes all. The winner goes to the college football playoff, and the winner wins the Heisman. That's what I want to happen in a perfect college football world, and that's what I think will happen. Even if Carson Beck plays, great and wins out, I don't think he's going to get it. I don't even think that he'll be invited if Jordan Travis wins out as well. You'll have those 3 cats in there. But that's what I think. Craig, what do you think?
I mean, I've had 1A and 1B the same from the very beginning. Yep. This has been going on from the very first show I was with you guys, Michael Penix and Bo Nix, and now it's even getting blurred between A and B. It's 1.1 and 1.11.
Yeah.
I don't know the difference. I don't think Washington beats Oregon twice. I just don't think it happens. And then you start looking at the quality of the win. Well, what if Bo? I mean, there's a lot of variables there. So that would edge me to believe Bo Nix. I'm with JJ McCarthy. Get out of there. I know all the Georgia homers. I don't think Carson Beck belongs to be there. I mean, in the same breath, you could say that Jalen Milroe belongs to be on there with the Bammers. I mean, there's some buzz going around him being mentioned in the Heisman contention now because they've kind of turned the offense around. I mean, the kid had 4 rushing touchdowns in the last game. You gotta add that into effect. As much as that pains me to say it, I don't think he's a dark horse. I think they still got some games to play. And my favorite part, this is my favorite part of the year, when a 1-loss Bama team starts buying SEC championship tickets, but they still got to come to Jordan-Hare at the last game. So I'm not saying I would pick Auburn right now to beat Alabama, but that's usually some strange things happen during that game. So this is where the roll tears roll comes from right here. When I look back at these moments, when they walk into Jordan-Hare and get that butt stomped, or lose a heartbreaker in the last second on a long field goal, or those are the moments I live for, Dalton. Those are the one things living in this hotbed of Bama trailer parkness that I live in. It sure is nice to have those moments like that and to walk around with this and not. I wore this exact same outfit to pick my daughter up from pre-K today, and there was 4 or 5 people that looked at me and said, "Roll Tide." I can't even wear a shirt and peace out anymore without getting something from somebody. I hate to say it, not to speak on my Auburn Tigers, but, everybody was – I wasn't in the show last week because of Halloween. I hated to say it, but Vanderbilt was a bit of a trap game for the Tigers. I know I'm jumping the shark here a little bit and getting off base, but our record against Vandy was about 500, especially traveling to the under construction stadium that is in Nashville, Tennessee. So I was happy to get out of there with a win. I think just to kind of elaborate on that a little bit, they're going to win 6 games. They played New Mexico or some Polytechnical Institute. Of course, they play Arkansas this weekend, and then got a breather before the Iron Bowl. They're going to get 6 wins. They're going to a bowl game. I consider that a success. I said 7 wins was the goal. I still think they can beat Arkansas, and I think they might mess around and beat Alabama. We'll have to wait and see how that happens. I'm glad that Florida got beat, but I wish it wouldn't have been by Arkansas.
Hey, drunk,
the week before we play them.
Drunk Skip Bayless.
Yeah, drunk Skip Bayless. That's my take.
If y'all beat Bama, you and I will find a moment to sit down and enjoy some little tech talk, and we'll eat us something really nice. We'll celebrate really big. It'll be when is that game? Is gonna be when is that game?
That's the Thanksgiving weekend, baby, every year.
Okay. So just planning. If y'all can pull that off, you and I will celebrate immensely.
All right. That's a deal.
One of the best games to go to, Barry. That Iron Bowl is great. But let's see, Coach. What do you got to say?
1 and 2 is definitely a lot. I don't see either one of them not being invited to New York. The numbers that they're putting up right now are great. The battle that they already had was outstanding, and both quarterbacks did what it takes for a Heisman quarterback to win the Heisman. They literally both drove the ball down the field to win the ball game.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the fact is, Oregon, y'all gave it up.
Yeah,
So,
defense.
1 and 2, definitely a lot. Now, McCarthy, I'm gonna have to put an asterisk beside you too, because who's to say you didn't know coverage calls?
Yep.
And you could sit and say all day long that a team came out, disguised the coverage, but J.J. McCarthy is such a smart quarterback that he recognized it and found so-and-so in the corner of the end zone. Hey, dude, if he already know what the coverage is, even though they're disguising it because he's over there watching hand signals and signs that the coaches have already stolen, I could be a Heisman Trophy winner. I could get a trip to New York. If you could tell me right now, look, Coach, we got film and hand signals on every team in college football. You name your schedule. Dude, you can give me every dog there is in college football, and I'm going to go beat them.
Mm-hmm.
That's the upper hand of cheating, when a lot of people don't look at it as, is it really cheating? Anything that you know that you're doing that you wouldn't appreciate somebody doing to you, that you already know is something that's in the books that says you cannot do, then bro, you're cheating. Hands down.
Even worse when there's money involved. And that
exactly.
It's very apparent that there is money involved. I mean, there's receipts to prove it.
Yeah.
So
then you bordered on being a thief. Then it's cheating and a thief. It's just bad.
They hired a dude with military background and like doing this shit, like spying.
So he know how to take surveillance when nobody's looking. You know what I'm saying? It ain't no telling what equipment he got. He probably sitting up there with antennas and everything else, telling him he's getting a real crisp broadcast of the game. Mm-hmm. But no, buddy, you're cheating. So with JJ, I'm going to stick a little asterisk out beside that. I don't see him there because I think the allegations of Michigan is going to catch up with him before the actual Heisman ceremony. Jordan Travis, he would literally have to win out and be in the college football playoffs to even have his name mentioned in this. I don't see him really there because you're not doing anything that's standing out to me like 1 and 2. So that's why I go back and I agree with the Jaden Daniels pick. You can't take him out because he got beat by Alabama. Did he go in that Alabama game and perform?
Mm-hmm.
He did his part. The defense gave it up. You got to think about it. Milroe had how many touchdowns rushing?
4.
4 rushing touchdowns.
In the first half.
Right? Yeah, let me say that again, LSU defense. 4 rushing touchdowns. That's got nothing to do with Jaden Daniels. When you allow that quarterback to run and score 4 times, you're putting him in a critical situation regardless. But the kid always performs. He always comes through in the clutch. He still played an excellent game. He didn't make any mistakes that were really costly to him. So I don't know why you would take Jaden Daniels off the list. But my boy Carson Beck, I'm glad to see that you're on it, but you're not going to be there.
Period.
The best player on Georgia's football team is trying to get back in the game right now. So there's no way I could sit here and say Carson Beck will be the Heisman Trophy winner, knowing that I was all with Brock Bowers to begin with, the best player in college football. But I'm glad to see that he made the list. I would put him above J.J. McCarthy. His stats are better than Jordan Travis. So, I'm glad to see Carson Beck on the list. I don't think he'll be able to hold the number 3 slot, but I do see him sliding up and still being in this same list next week. But I can sit here and honestly say 1 and 2 is a lot.
But the kid, Carson Beck, man, he making some noise.
He is.
He making noise, but we would have to win it all.
He making some noise, but
the thing with Carson is he hasn't done anything to get Georgia beat. He's been very consistently good. He's not killing us. He's doing everything he should, but he's not going to win the Heisman because he hasn't had Heisman moments. But he's being good enough to win. So I mean,
true.
But I think y'all need to slow down on that cheating, quote unquote cheating. Listen, we are in 2023. Anybody and their grandmama got a cell phone and facial recognition and AI and drones and all of this stuff. All this is doing right now, this is a witch hunt. And I'm even going to say it like Trump said, it's fake news.
Yeah.
It's fake news. And listen, guys, this is not cheating. This is football. You make adjustments in the game. You're not telling me, I don't think McCarthy is a Heisman either, but you're not telling me that kid hasn't played well and he's not doing what he needs to do. Okay?
But if you're not cheating, there wouldn't be an investigation.
Oh, yes, it will when your coach is Jim Harbaugh.
So
when your coach is Jim Harbaugh,
that's the thing about it. If you're not doing anything wrong, the NCAA don't bring anything up.
Yeah, Barry, it's not just a smoking gun, man. It's a smoking cannon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's
he violated every rule there was with a secret guy. There
was a big old shredding party at Michigan University. They had them shredders running hot when that first broke. I promise you.
Yeah.
Barry, if you were a real Ryan Day guy, you would be all over killing Jim Harbaugh right now.
For real.
But you see, more than a Ryan Day guy, I'm a guy of integrity.
And Jim has none.
Listen.
You say integrity, and this man cheating.
I worked in technology for the last 20 years. And we understand analytics. We understand AI. We understand. Do whatever you need to do to give your team an edge to win. If you're not putting steroids in your body, if you're not food poisoning the other team, you're not cheating. All of this is just BS. And Dalton, did you tell me that they were trying to do something? What was the suggestion to get rid of all of this? What did they want to do between the coach and the quarterback?
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up because I almost forgot about it. So Nick Saban has a good point on this. If you really cared enough about the integrity of the game, put a earpiece in the quarterback's ear and in the defensive captain's ear. There's no cheating then.
They'll hack it.
Like the pros.
What you say, Dylan?
They'll hack it. They'll get into those frequencies. Like it.
See,
you can with the technology nowadays, bro. You can cheat if you want to cheat.
I don't think so.
They don't do it in the pros. I mean, that's how they do it in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, and they don't have. I mean,
yeah.
Guys, don't you just have to, guys? Isn't it? Okay. If it was a small town bummy team playing against, somebody else, and they were stealing signals, we would be having the same conversation. No, because at the end of the day, it's about strapping up, going out there and playing.
I agree, but here's the one point, Barry. Michigan has lost 3 games in the last 3 years, right? Mm-hmm. All of those games have been with 1 or 2 weeks preparation, not a whole year where they're studying. They got people on the sidelines of those games They know everything you're doing. And that's TCU, that's Georgia, and that's who was the other one? It was one other one they lost to, but they only had like 1 week of prep.
It's making a big assumption to think that that it was just one guy. This guy was a scapegoat.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the shooter on the grassy knoll, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, there's a fleet. I mean, I'm just making an assumption here, and I guess we'll see what the investigation shows, because they were dumb enough to keep receipts from what I'm seeing and reading.
On Venmo.
That's what I think why the Big Ten and the NCAA are taking it as like a slap to the face is, dude, y'all made this so obvious. It was blatant.
Right.
Like, didn't cover.
Harbaugh's a lot better coach than he is a spy.
Yeah.
I do agree that it was kind of stupid how they did it.
It's real stupid.
But one thing right here has made me kind of change my mind, and it's because a New England Patriot fan talking about spying. That right there gives me all the confidence to know that he knows exactly what he's talking about. So you might be right, Dalton.
So let me step back, because I was actually going to bring in the New England Patriots. I actually got a Bill Belichick hoodie on, no sleeves. But let me tell you something. When the New England Patriots did that, every team in the NFL was doing it because it was legal. And guess what? The New England Patriots they said, okay, if this is going to be legal, we're going to do it and make it worth our while. And they took it up a notch to where the NFL was like, hey, we can't do this. I mean, and guess what? It didn't even work. We lost.
And I've seen video clips. I've seen clips where they were actually showing the actual cheating. Okay. Yeah. You had signal callers, coaches, and everybody else looking at the other team's sideline and not even looking at their own personnel on the field. And as soon as a signal came in, they all went crazy to make the call, and it worked perfect. How are you going to wait till I send in my signal before you send in your signal if you're not cheating and knowing what I'm doing? Because even as an offensive coordinator, I can't sit here and say, let me find out what kind of coverage that defense is in by seeing what the coach's signals is. Mm-hmm. What I got to do is I got to get to the line of scrimmage. I got to look at what they got on the field. I got to maybe move a body or two in motion to see what that coverage is telling me. That's what you do when you're strapping it up and it's 11 on 11. But if I wait and say, let's run this play because I just seen what the coach called for the secondary, and then I beat you on the coverage, am I a genius offensive coordinator, or am I just waiting till you show your hand?
Yeah, my thing is, if somebody, okay, did they go into somebody's practice? Did they go into Michigan practice facility?
Practice is closed.
Okay, so it ain't cheating. Because as long anybody, it's only cheating because they got caught.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, that's the only reason it's cheating. Because
it ain't cheating. Boy, you do something like that orange fella.
Anybody with a cell phone, how many people in the stadium have a cell phone? All of them. Anybody, anytime can be recording anything out there. I'm just telling you, something's going to change with this. Yes, Michigan Harbaugh is probably going to get taxed for this, but this stuff needs to change, man. Don't y'all want what? You know what's unfair? Georgia and Bama and Ohio State and all these teams that constantly get 5 stars and has the edge on everybody as every other team. Let another component come into the game that suggests, I'm not saying you do anything malicious, but hey, all is fair, love, and war.
But my counterpoint to that is, if you're going to like make it like blatantly like legal, you can do this now. You don't think Georgia and Bama and Ohio State are going to be the best at doing it?
Yeah,
we don't know.
But also, you got to think about it, B. How many people in that stadium with cell phones and everything else is doing nothing but recording coaches and signals on sidelines. What are you at the game for?
That's what I'm trying to say. You can plant these people anywhere. You don't. It doesn't matter. Everybody who goes to a football game now, we really know they're not there just to watch the game. You know, we don't know.
You don't even need to go to the game to steal signals. They have the all 22 film where you can zoom in on the sidelines.
That's what I'm trying to say, guys. Is it really? I mean, I know y'all Jim Harbaugh haters. You know, sound like every one of you are. But let's just be honest, man. Anybody could have done this. Anybody could have done this at any time.
Yeah. Stupid. The way they did it was stupid.
Yep.
I mean,
that's all it comes down to.
I agree. Anybody could have done it, but they are the first people to get caught.
Yeah. The analogy I use for it is, you know, I'm sure we all played NCAA 14 or one of the games along the line. When you play split screen with one of your boys and y'all watch the same TV, you're supposed to look away when he's picking his play. But I mean, every once in a while, you do a little peek. All right, I know he's running counter.
But in them games, every one of them games, you can audible.
Hey, but I'm gonna tell you, this is how serious we took it. When you played and you had the joystick in your hand, we played with shoe boxes.
Wow. Hey, Dalton, I want to bring up one more thing before you move on, man. I thought it was interesting. The Pac-12, the Heisman front runners. If this is blasphemy to even say this, but I'm going to say it just as a point and a counterpoint. It's hard for me to argue against saying the Pac-12 is not the best conference top to bottom in the country.
Yeah.
And I never, ever thought those words would be uttered out of my mouth, being from the South and being a huge SEC fan for years. But it kind of is what it is at this point, right?
Yeah, it's because they got like 8 NFL-ready quarterbacks.
Yeah.
The Pac-12 is the best conference in the country. I just never thought those words would come out of my mouth.
I'm gonna frame this look. I'm gonna record this, and I'm gonna play it over and over. I'm gonna say, Alexa, play that clip.
Man, that was a tough one to say. I'm sweating a little bit just even getting that out.
Right now, I mean, I think it is. It is true. If it's not the SEC, it's the Pac-12. There's no doubt.
And they have the defense. There's deep.
True. I mean, even their third best team has an unbelievable defense. In Utah. I would probably say they're third or maybe fourth. It's kind of hard to say. 3 and 4 and 5 is right there close to each other. So let's bring in this next slide, and this word gets sticky, boys. This right here, this scenario, and if you need to go full screen, this scenario here is all of these teams you see pictured have one loss. All right. The number on the left is the chance of them with one loss to make the college football playoff. The number on the right is their chance to win the college football playoff. And with this scenario right here, they're a little different. Washington, that means that they lose to Oregon in the Pac-12 championship. Michigan, that would be a loss to Ohio State. Let's see, Georgia, that would be a loss in the SEC championship. So 29% chance to get in on one loss. Louisville, this is a funny take right here. This is if they win out and win the ACC championship. ESPN only thinks they have a 20% chance to make the college football playoff as a one-loss ACC champion. That's an interesting take. That tells you how much they value the ACC, in my opinion. And I think the college football playoff probably values it.
Yeah.
And then right here, this is Ohio State. If Michigan beats them and Ohio State doesn't go to the Big 12 or Big 10 championship, they have a 55% chance of making it to the college football playoff. I don't know how they figure that. They must value their wins, which I do think they have the best wins of the year. They got a lot of big ones. And, if they beat Michigan, that's going to be a cherry on top for them. But does anybody have any thoughts on this right quick before we actually move to the predictor?
Yeah, so there's always talk every year. It's that everybody is biased to the SEC. No, dude, they're 100% biased to the Big Ten. Why are we just all of a sudden being like, okay, it don't matter one loss Michigan or one loss Ohio State. that means the Big Ten's getting in 2 teams. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Why have they earned that? Because they beat Penn State?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why have they earned that?
So
And Notre Dame.
Like, it's crazy that it's an understood fact that Ohio State would get in if Georgia wins out and loses to Bama. Why?
Yeah, this will be the last year we have this discussion. So that's
Yeah,
that's
Yeah, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I agree, and that's a good point you bring up. But what you say about SEC bias, you're actually going to be shocked about a couple of these teams that I'm going to bring up here in this predictor. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and I'm going to show y'all 3 of the. To me, they're my favorite. I guess stat wise, and then I want you to just give me one that you want to see. We'll be able to run through it here. This is a pretty cool thing. All right, so here we go. First one I wanted to show y'all here is the SEC bias, in my opinion. Ole Miss, they're currently at 8-1. All right, let's say they win out. They beat Georgia. They go to the conference championship game. But here's the thing. That means Alabama's got to lose. So then they go and they beat Georgia again, the second time. That'd be an 88% chance of making it to the playoff with a 13% chance of winning the championship. So that's a lot of praise for the Ole Miss Rebels.
Yeah, well, if you beat Georgia twice, you deserve that one.
Yeah.
But let's look at it like this. What does it say if they win out, but they don't make it because Alabama, wins out? 23% to make the playoff. That's still pretty good.
Yeah.
Because you're going to see some numbers here that you're going to be shocked by. The second one I'm going to show you here is going to be which one was it?
Man, this is getting off in the weeds here.
This is a cool website, though.
Yeah. I love it. This is a great segment.
So this right here is the Texas Longhorns winning out, 89% chance. So that tells you how much they value their win at Alabama, in my opinion.
Yep.
If they win out, they're in, it seems. They're a lock.
Yeah, no doubt.
Agreed.
And I think they should be one bad loss.
Look at Florida State.
Florida State, this is what do you want to see them win out, right?
I think they have to win out.
Yeah.
I do too. This is them winning out. They're at 99%. They're a lock.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But here's what's funny that I wanted to show y'all. I remember now. Let's see where. Golly, which one was it?
Who was talking about earlier? Was it Craig? How things are going to shake up if Penn State wins this week?
Yeah, if Penn State wins out, they're in too.
This is Oregon. If they were to win out, 74% to make the playoff.
Yeah,
that's pretty much a lock to me.
They're in.
They're in, and they should be. Like I said, I hope the Heisman goes like that. Penn State here, if they win out and they win the conference, they're a lock.
Well, hold on, go back up
because, right there
because they can't win the conference.
They would have to have help.
Ohio State would have to lose. So go to not winning their conference, winning out but not winning the conference.
Oh,
that's more like it.
Yeah,
but that's wild. Think about that.
You would also assume what happens if Michigan beats Ohio State in the last game of the year. I mean, that would be the fly in the ointment and I think that's going to happen because Ohio State's going to the big house.
Yeah.
So one thing I want to show you right here
is that I mean, you guys have been to a multitude of college football games. Home field advantage in college is huge.
True.
Huge. That's a touchdown, or even some colleges it might be 8.5, 9 point spread difference.
Yeah. So look, what I want to show y'all right here. This is the most interesting thing of the whole thing, in my opinion. Is I'm going to look at if every team wins out, best scenario for them. What would be the chance of them winning the playoff? And you're going to be shocked here. This is Ohio State to start it off with. Let's say they win out. 35% chance to win the playoff.
That's the Ryan Day effect.
Florida State winning out. They have a 21% chance. So not a lot of love there. This one right here is going to open your eyes a little bit, what they think about Michigan. 34%. So far, they're number 2 on the list.
I do not understand that because Ohio State has zero offense.
I agree. Alabama winning out, 24% chance. So, you know, they got a lot of love to the Tide. They always do. It's a little biased, I think.
Here's my surprise face.
Texas, we already saw here. 19% chance, you know, which is pretty wild to me that they think Alabama would have a better chance. To me, that seems like if they go to the playoff, they see Alabama winning a rematch.
Here we go.
I don't know what y'all think about that, but here's Georgia winning out. They only have us as a 23% favorite to win.
I'm taking a picture and sending it to Kirby. We need it posted in the locker room.
Right.
I mean, it really shouldn't be much over 25% with 4 teams, right? I mean, just considering.
Here's Oregon at 19. I think that's pretty good for them.
I think it should be higher.
This one is going to shock you a lot. If Washington wins out, this is what they think about them.
Yeah,
Wow.
I agree.
So this tells me right here, guys, that they do not value Washington against the other 3 teams that would be in the playoff. And I think they're right. I think Oregon matches up better.
Yeah.
They're going to run into a Michigan. They're going to run into a Michigan, or they're going to run into a Georgia, or they're going to run into Alabama.
And can you stop them?
Defense they've never seen.
I already did this one here. Penn State. This one's not really realistic unless they had help. Ole Miss. We already did that one, but this is the most shocking. Wins out, wins their conference.
2%.
But look at this number here. I mean, that's basically saying you're not getting in if you win out.
Yeah.
That's the Dabo effect. If it ain't Clemson in the ACC, they don't feel that it's anybody.
I hear that truck backing up, holding dumpster juice for the ACC, Coach.
I'm telling you, the end of the year, it's going to be more ACC trash in this truck than it can hold.
That's right.
I want to know what you guys think, you know, about what is the most alarming thing to you? Is it a Georgia winning out and only having, you know, realistically, if you put all the teams in, they would think Georgia would have the 4th highest chance to win the playoff, which means they're, you know, ranked number 4 in their eyes. So that's pretty crazy.
Well,
what do you think about that?
What are the top 4? You got
it would
Georgia,
be Ohio State,
Florida
Michigan.
State, Ohio State, and well, one of them gonna fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
so it's gonna be Georgia.
I think Oregon had a pretty decent one.
And then Washington's right behind them, so whoever wins that head-to-head is going to fall out. So that could be – those are interchangeable.
So interesting right there. Anybody else got it? Anything?
There's something about. I think Oregon's really going to make a run at winning the championship. They're a good team, dude. Mm-hmm. They're complete too.
Of that entire list you just showed, Dalton, you know who has a top 5 defense in that one?
Who's that?
Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State. Georgia does not. There's not an SEC team with a top 5 defense right now.
Yeah, which I do think a lot of that is because of how bad the offenses are in the Big Ten.
Agreed. I don't disagree. I'm just looking at the stats. Just the stat
line. Yeah, no doubt.
And another thing, I want to say this before we leave this slide. Alabama is dangerous.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, they're
dangerous. A lot of people, it's weird. It's a weird play. It's all over the place. This right here, and I've said this several times, could wind up being one of Nick Saban's best championships.
It would be his best one.
You know, this. I think you let them play. You play around with them, and even though they don't look like the Bama of old, they still kind of feel very dangerous.
Yeah. Well, what have we been saying all year about Milroe in Alabama? We're like, why are they trying to use him as a pocket passer, and why does he keep coming out in interviews saying I'm a passer, like I'm a quarterback?
Yeah.
You finally used him like you should use him, and they couldn't be stopped. Like, granted, it was LSU's defense, but like still.
Right.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, guys, that you have to see this predictor does not figure in injury.
Yeah.
No. This is if everything is perfect. And we do agree that the more Miro runs, possibly the better chances they have at winning. But it's also the best chance they have of him getting injured.
Yeah.
Yeah, their number 2 situation is not too good.
And it's not good. So that's a slippery slope.
You know, I got you'll never hear me say this more than one time tonight. And it's not really agreeing with Tony, I'm just going to shade that way because he's been calling Alabama's defense elite for weeks, which I thought was hot garbage. But they finally showed up and played elite defense Saturday night. That's the best Alabama's defense has looked all year.
Second
and
half.
they targeted my guy and didn't get a call.
They did. I don't disagree with that. I think that was a
and
missed call.
so I think Daniel was fishing get ready to come back and have his best year, but they,
he would have made it a game for sure.
Yeah.
So he is.
I agree, and it was disappointing to see the game in like that. But let's take it. I want to know your guys' best matchups coming up here this week, week 11. What do you got, Dylan? Go ahead.
My best matchup is Tennessee at Missouri. It's battle for second in the East. Who really cares about that? But to me, stylistically, is what's so cool about it, because you got two teams who are run first, and then when they pass, they're explosive off the pass. They take nothing but deep shots. Their offense is the same, and their defense both have really good run defenses. So it's going to be interesting to see who's better at that style of play. It's really going to come down to who wins up front, and I think Missouri's going to win up front. And playing at Missouri is not talked about enough as a tough road environment. When you play at Missouri at night, dude, anything can happen. Something about that turf, man. It hurts you, and people slip, and it's hard to beat Missouri there.
Missouri.
I agree. That's a great point. I didn't think anybody would pick that game, but I do think that is one to look forward to. Craig, what you got to say?
Mine to watch is Michigan traveling to the Penn State. I don't know. Everybody's we've been talking down on James Franklin, kind of the same way we did, Ohio State's coach, Ryan Day. He can't win the big one. He can't win the big one. It's now or never. This is it. I mean, I don't care what you say about whether it's made up or false accusations. Michigan is more distracted right now than they ever have been all year long. Yeah. Now is the time if you're going to do it. I've been to these college football practices, and it just takes something like that. They practice at a level now. They're so efficient. If you just lose focus for a day or two in a practice and then you're going on the road to Penn State, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not saying that Ohio State will lose to Penn State, or not, Michigan will lose to Penn State this weekend. I'm just saying right now is the time. So I'm interested to see that. This should be – Franklin should have billboard material all over the place. I was under the assumption it seems like Michigan-Penn State's a huge rivalry. They've only played 26 times. And Michigan, it's 16-10.
Yeah.
I would assume that Michigan had been stomping Penn State for years, but they've only played 26 times. So it's not like a rivalry like we consider one in the SEC that's been going on for 150 years. And I guess it is a rivalry game in the Big Ten, don't get me wrong, but as far as rivalries go, it's not that big a deal. But I think now is the time. If James Franklin's ever going to do it, this is it.
And I don't think so.
Well,
because listen, this right here, all this that's going on, guys, this is making Michigan more dangerous. See, when they suspended him on the front half, they won.
Yeah, they played garbage.
And the boys came, but they won. And the boys came in. And the boys came in. Free Harbaugh. Hey, listen, man. They love Jim. And this is where he's not getting the credit that he deserves. See, everything is not about X's and O's. But to your point, yes, if you can try to get something, some billboard material to come in and do something, but this is not the type of billboard material. This says they'll do whatever they have to do to win. And I guarantee you that Michigan gonna put them hands on Penn State. They're gonna put them hands on Penn State.
I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not saying I'll pick them. I'm just saying right now is I don't care what there's still some distraction around the program. That's never a good thing, regardless of what these kids, especially with social media now. Could you imagine? I can't turn on Facebook without seeing a story about Jim Harbaugh. Yeah. Could you imagine? I mean, there's two ways to do that. I mean, some of them kids will take it and run with it and say, that's my coach, screw them all. Some of the other kids don't have that same effect.
Jim, Craig, again, people do not give him the credit that he deserves. He is a man's man, and he can motivate his team.
I don't know about a man's man there, Barry.
He is. He is.
Not,
He
not
is.
with Kentucky.
What
Not
I'm
with
saying,
Kentucky.
what I mean by that, Jim is right now talking to them boys, and he's telling them,
I'm leaving.
it's against the hand.
That's the other thing.
The only way he's gonna leave, the only way I'm telling you, I believe the only way he leaves is if he loses, if he plays and loses. See, I think Jim wants to go back to the pros. I said he'll eventually he will go back to the pros, but don't you think he needs to win? Don't you think he needs to win a chip?
He sure does want to.
He needs to win.
Bad.
Hey,
He
listen,
just ain't.
He'll do anything.
Kirby just ain't got caught yet. He probably got slime all over the place too.
Hey,
That's probably why Brian Kelly got out of Notre Dame.
there you go. Hey, back to that matchup though. There's some substance there though with Craig's pick, because anytime I'm curious about a matchup, you can look at Vegas, and if I didn't look at this line, you didn't tell me nothing, I'd say Michigan is at least a 13-point favorite. They're only a 4.5, 4.5, 5.5 favorite. Like Vegas is expecting this to be close.
Hey, and this is shocking. We didn't talk about this in the predictor because there wasn't a way we could show you that. But here's the scenario, and I'll give you the outcome because I believe the tiebreaker is highest ranked win. So here's the scenario. Penn State beats Michigan this weekend. Michigan beats Ohio State. Michigan goes to the Big Ten championship because they have the highest ranked win. Here's a scenario that we can't talk about or show you any way to look at it, but who gets in? 3 1-loss Big Ten teams that only one of them could go to the Big Ten championship because they were all tied in records. Who do you send to the college football playoff?
Not Penn
Doesn't
State. Penn State
doesn't the Big Ten have to have 2?
Penn State won't get in.
It's all going to – it'll depend on what it looks like. I mean, you're not getting a 2-loss team in there for sure, but if you got 2 1-loss teams that beat each other –
well, you would have 3.
What happens in the SEC or the Pac-12? You know, there's so many variables there. I mean, you get off in the weeds so easy.
Well, I mean, think about it. Only 2 things have to happen for this to happen, and then you've got Michigan going to the Big Ten championship. Does Big Ten get 2 teams in? Is it a Michigan, which would be a Big Ten champion at 1 loss, and an Ohio State who's 11-1, or a Penn State that's 11-1?
Well, who you leaving out?
It depends on all the other scenarios.
Who you leaving out, Dalton?
Yeah.
I mean, if they were all at 1 loss,
it would take Texas losing and opening up a spot, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Or Florida State having 1 loss. I think Florida State with 1 loss and a champ.
Yeah, Florida State's got to win out. There's no way fans are butts with that.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. It seems like anything could happen.
Or hey, let's really shake things up and get no Big Ten teams in. Maybe Iowa can beat Michigan 13-12.
Yeah.
I would love for no Big 12 or Big 10 teams in there. And maybe, let's just have Washington and Oregon go in. But who did not go yet?
Ryan, hold up. You saying Ryan Day is not going to leave Ryan Day out? Man, you must be crazy.
I would love that. I'll be honest. I would have, if that happened, Barry, I would celebrate Christmas twice. Coach Price, what do you got?
Well, I like Craig's pick with Michigan and Penn State. And when you sit back and you said they only played each other 26 times, that tell you Joe Paterno and Bo Schembechler said, I'm not playing that guy.
Yeah.
Because it's history with both of those coaches at those universities for them not to have played each other a million times.
Mm-hmm.
But my pick is Utah and Washington. And the reason why is because the shakeup that's going to lead to Oregon and Washington in the rematch is what kind of performance does Washington have against Utah compared to what Oregon is going to do to USC? So you're going to look at those 2 ball games and you're going to say, if Washington struggles with Utah and Oregon blows USC out the water, watch where those rankings fall into play with them two squads by the time they meet each other for
And
the
Heisman
championship.
implications too, Coach. I mean, because
And
Bo
with the
just left Utah and just torched them.
Exactly.
If Penix goes in there and is on the struggle bus,
there it
that's
is.
bad PR.
And that's exactly the point that I'm making.
What if we have a resurgence of Caleb Williams?
It don't matter. Caleb Williams and that squad ain't gonna go nowhere but to the Sunshine Bowl.
But they can still put that foot in Oregon.
He missed his Heisman moment.
I don't think they do. I think Oregon runs away with this ball game hands down. And the reason why I think they run away with the ball game hands down is right now USC ain't playing for nothing. They're not playing for anything.
Sometimes that's the best way to get some pride out of your team.
Well, you can get pride out of your team unless the pride ain't in the team because we can't win it all. Your quarterback sitting here saying, I ain't going to the pros if I don't go to the right situation. You ain't even going to win the Heisman. So it's best that you go ahead, do what you can, pack your bags, get on to the league. As far as everything else that's going on with USC, it's strictly downhill. They're not even focused on what they got right now. They're focusing on what they can recruit. They're already bowl eligible. But you're not national champion.
You can't let the last visual from them NFL scouts be you in the stands crying on your mama.
No,
true.
That's true.
You got to come out there.
You say that dropped your breath?
You got to.
But you know why he's crying.
You gotta erase that one.
But you know why he's crying? Because I can't win a national championship. I can't even make the college football playoffs. I ain't even gonna make it back to the ceremony that I won last year. Everything that's going on with USC right now is spiraling downhill because they have nothing left to play for. They're already in a bowl game, and I put money on it. The players on that team are going to do what when the bowl game roll around? Opt out of it.
So you think Caleb Williams should just stop playing football right now?
Oh, I'm not saying stop playing football. If your heart ain't in it the way it should be, then you're gonna get pulverized. Oregon has got something to play for. USC don't.
Yeah.
Oregon knows what they can afford to lose. USC ain't got nothing to lose.
And what makes it interesting to me with Oregon and Washington is they have a lot of common opponents. You can use the head-to-head, but they have a lot of common opponents. And has Washington played Utah? Was that not a close game?
I believe it's this weekend.
This week.
That's the one this weekend. Okay. Well, Washington was in a dogfight with USC. Oregon can come out and take a similar opponent and
wax them,
beat them 55-20.
You're right.
Like because the committee will start looking at similar opponents if it comes down to that at the end of the year. If they're both,
you got to put Bo in front end, right? I mean, just on the beauty show of it.
Well, yeah, and if you're talking about Heisman between him and Penix has had a bad game, really too. Bo has not had a bad game.
True.
They just got a loss.
Yeah.
To Penix. But, like I said, I think and Utah is a better football team than we give them credit for.
That defense is good.
Excellent. So that means Penix is going to be going up against a defense who's not a cupcake. And we already know that USC will give it all up, and they got nothing to play for. Yeah. They're already bowl eligible.
Not only they going up against a tough, like you said, but not only that defense just got trashed last week. Bo Nix shredded them up, 385 yards passing. So they are. If they have any pride left in them at all, you're going to see some dogs this weekend. Yeah, I promise you, they did not have a fun week of practice.
I agree. Here we go. Last one, fellas. Let's run through it here. And it's probably my favorite thing all week. It's the college football pick'em. We're going to start. Number one is going to be Ole Miss, Georgia. Ole Miss coming to Athens. Going to be prime time, I believe, on ESPN. Going to be a great matchup. And this could be, I mean, we haven't talked about Carson Beck, but what if he goes out there and trounces them? You know, throws for 400 yards. You got to really start talking about Heisman for him, especially if he won out after that and trounced Alabama in the SEC championship. Number two, Michigan, Penn State. We've already talked about it a little bit. Can't wait to, hear y'all's pick them on it. Utah, Washington, Tennessee, Mizzou, and Oregon, USC. I'll give my rundown. I think the Dogs are going to win, and I think they're going to win easily. I think they're better than Ole Miss. Ole Miss, when they face good defenses, they've really struggled, and they're going to face probably, I think, the best one they'll face all year. I think we're a little bit better on than Alabama on defense. That's just my opinion. But Michigan, Penn State, I think Penn State is going to win it and shock Michigan. I think there's a lot of cloudiness in Michigan right now, and it's going to cost them in this game. Going to be wild, probably a whiteout, I would assume. They hold over 12,000 people in that stadium. Crazy. Utah, Washington.
I'd like to get some of your money on that game.
Utah, Washington. I really think Washington is going to pull through. Utah is a great team, but this is where Washington shows you they are arguably the best in the West. Tennessee, Mizzou. I've been high on Tennessee all year, but I do think Missouri wins this game. I think they're better than Tennessee on both sides of the ball. They look pretty good against Georgia, but I give a lot of credit to Mizzou. I think they'll win this game at home. Oregon, USC. I'm a coach. I think Oregon blows out USC right here, and we'll see Caleb Williams crying with somebody else's mama.
You pick four. You pick four home teams. If these games were played opposite, would it be the same?
If Michigan was at home, I would go with Michigan. If Tennessee was at home, I would go with Tennessee. And what was the other one?
Well, you ain't going against Georgia for nothing.
I wouldn't pick. I mean, to me, to be honest, I wouldn't pick Georgia to lose at Ole Miss. I wouldn't. And then I don't think the Oregon USC game. I don't think it really matters where they played. I think Oregon's just that much better. But let's see, Dylan, what do you got to say? Pick them.
Ole Miss, Georgia. What's that line? I think it's like 11.5. It's a fairly close line. But dude, it's a night game in Athens. Kirby doesn't lose in Athens. That game is going to come down to look. Ole Miss has firepower. They have a lot of weapons on the outside. They have a really good running back, but it's going to come down to can they protect? And Georgia's finally having guys step up and get to the quarterback. We're finally getting pressure. And one of Ole Miss's best O-linemen's out for the game. It's going to come down to which front wins. And I think we'll push them around on both sides of the ball. And the way to stop Jackson Dart is keep him on the sideline. So you're going to see a heavy dose of Dejon Edwards. I'd imagine he goes for over 110. And Georgia wins that game. 38-24, something around there, I would guess. Michigan, Penn State. Again, Penn State just does not have enough offense to score. This is really one of the first tests we've seen for Michigan. But, I do think they'll kind of do what Barry was talking about. This is kind of like, hey, it's Michigan versus the world. We're going to come out and show up. And it could be a statement game for them. They could blow Penn State out. I wouldn't be surprised by it. I think they're going to win the game. Utah does not have the offense to keep up with Penix. Their defense is really good. I think it could give Penix problems, at least early on, but they can't keep up scoring. Washington's going to win that one. Tennessee, Mizzou, again, similar style teams, but I'm going to go with the team who's meaner, who's more physical, and who's at home, and that's Missouri. And then Oregon, USC. Bo Nix, shout out to Turnt Tony, is going to have another Heisman moment, and he is going to put up over 400 yards and over 4 touchdowns. They'll win that game 50-something to 20-something.
So, Dylan Dart, if you had to pick an upset between Oregon, USC, and Ole Miss, Georgia, which one would it be?
Honestly, there's a higher percent chance of Ole Miss beating Georgia than USC beating Oregon. That ain't gonna happen. They ain't got no defense, dude. Oregon's gonna put up 60 or 70 if they want to. And Dan Lanning, when you piss him off, look what he did to Colorado. He'll run it up on you, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Craig, what do you got this week?
I know you were talking about Carson Beck for Heisman, comparing Ole Miss's defense to Alabama's. I got to pull a Lee Corso on that one and go not so fast. Those are two different animals altogether. So let's just put the brakes on that Carson Beck for Heisman right now. Assuming he can trounce Ole Miss, I don't put that by him. I can see that. This was in Athens. I'm going with Georgia. But saying that he can do that in the SEC championship against the Alabama team led by Nick Saban, I can't quite go there yet. I got Michigan beating Penn State. I know I talked all that stuff about Franklin and Michigan being distracted. I still don't think it matters. Penn State can't score. That's going to be a problem. You kind of need to score to win football games last time I checked. And Vegas has that game at 5.5. I think they cover. And I'm with Dylan on that one. I think that could be a blowout. If they get a couple quick ones, then it's going to go downhill from there, wideout conditions or not. That game needs to be ugly for Penn State to hang around, like a 6-3 game.
Yeah.
9-7, something like that. It needs to be an old school Joe Paterno type Penn State game for that to happen. If they score over 30 combined, then it's going to be Michigan all day long.
We need a Jerry Sandusky game. That's what we need.
Yeah, for sure. I got Washington on the struggle bus against Utah. Again, I think Utah's a little pissed off after that drubbing they got last week, and I know that defense is proud. So they're going to come in and Washington with a little bit of chip on their shoulder. I still think Penix has the firepower to pull it off. I got Missouri beating Tennessee, even though they're the 1.5-point underdogs at home. Just the simple fact is, everybody's mentioned it, Missouri's kind of sneaky hard to play. Home field advantage is tough in any league, especially tough in the Southeastern Conference.
Yeah.
Oregon is going to just beat the snot out of USC. They might as well not get off the bus. It's going to be a whipping of epic proportions. That's my picks. I still think I would like to see, again, I'm kind of like what Davis said a couple weeks ago. How can you hate, James Franklin? The guy won 7 games at Vanderbilt. I'm rooting for James Franklin and Penn State. That would be an awesome upset, and that would throw a big fly in the one of the Big Ten's party this year, which would make me even happier. And the only reason I picked Georgia over Ole Miss is because I couldn't pick both teams to lose. It's another one of those. If Ole Miss lost, I'd be very happy.
He's an honest man.
He is. About as honest as Abraham Lincoln. Coach Price, what you got to
say? Honest Dave. Well, of course I'm going to take Georgia over Ole Miss. I think it'll be at least 17 points. I don't think Ole Miss is going to be able to stop the pass rush that Georgia's going to bring to the table. And I don't think Ole Miss will be able to stop the run, which is just going to open up for that good old guy, Mr. Lad McConkey. I swear that boy's Irish.
Who else would
name their kid Lad? That's old Lad McConkey. Yeah. Well, give me Georgia over Ole Miss. Now, Michigan, Penn State. You say that it's 4.5, 5.5 points. But you got to think about it. This is one of the teams that's high in the investigation that's going on with Michigan. So what is Jim afraid of? So look for that game not to be no explosive. Michigan is going to be too turnt in this ball game. This might be a 3-point ball game. It's going to be a smash mouth ball game, because while we sit and say Michigan is saying us against the world, James Franklin is saying go out there and whoop their asses because they can't cheat on you this time. Right. It works both ways if you're a coach. So look for that to be a very tight game. I still got Michigan winning the ball game, but don't look for it to be a blowout. Utah and Washington. That's the game that I said is intrigued me the most this weekend, is because I'm looking at 5 and I'm looking at 6. That's where the flip is finna come in those rankings. Because if 5 struggles with 18 and 6 blows USC out, Oregon jumps ahead of Washington.
Mm-hmm.
So that game, I'm going Washington, but they cannot struggle with Utah at all if they want to hold the number 5 spot, knowing that you got a Michigan and an Ohio State that still has to play each other. You're right outside the box. One of those got to go. And we already know if you're sitting at 5 and you got 2 teams in the top 4 and one of those drop, then you already know you move up.
Mm-hmm.
So Washington has to play a very solid ball game against Utah and win convincingly in order to maintain that 5 spot. Because if Oregon blows out USC, Oregon jumps them, and I got Oregon over USC. Now I'm
Hold on,
saving Tennessee.
you saying that if Washington barely beats Utah, but they
Yeah.
win, and Oregon blows out USC, who don't have anything to play for, they jump Washington?
They jump them.
Mm-hmm.
It's all going because this is the reason why they jump them.
Style points, baby.
Style points is what it's going to take. So when you sit and say who's got the best win, it ain't just who's got the best win. Look what was the Washington USC game? It was close. Yeah.
Yeah. It was back and forth until late in the fourth. I think they won by like 10.
I think
exactly. So back and forth with USC. Oregon comes out, put the hammer on them in the first half, go into halftime, leading the ball game 35-3. That's not going to be the same. Oregon,
but we missing one thing. But we missing 1 point.
Who?
Head to head.
Washington beat Oregon head to head.
Yeah, they beat them head to head, but they still got to face them. But you're going to jump them in the polls.
Yeah.
5 is going to go to 6. 6 is going to go to 5.
Yeah, and interesting right there.
I think so too, because realistically, it don't matter because they play
until they face each other.
The Pac-12 championship, and
exactly.
The fact of the matter, Oregon has looked stronger since the Washington lost, and Washington has looked weaker. Now, I'm not that is not equated to wins and losses because Washington hadn't lost yet, obviously. But that team does not look the same as Oregon does. Dan Lanning has got them boys ready to go.
Yeah.
Took a little win out of themselves.
And
now, my final pick is Tennessee and Missouri. I can't stand nothing Tennessee. Period. The only reason why I ain't gonna say nothing too bad about them is because my team owner of the Dalton Danger, his wife, is one of the big wigs with Bush Beans. She signed Peyton Manning to his Bush Beans contract. He's going to give me 4 SEC championship tickets, so I ain't going to say too much bad about Tennessee right now. But you're playing at Missouri, and I don't know about any other stadiums or campuses there is in the SEC, but Missouri at night, it's like driving down the road and a black cat crosses the street. You're going to put so many X's on your windshield, dude. You're going to look X-rated. Because strange things happen in Missouri at night. And when
it's funny how the Georgia fans lose in Missouri one time at night, and now it's cursed by the.
We didn't even lose.
No,
we didn't even lose.
I thought you lost.
No, if you do the history of Missouri at night, look at those games, especially in the fourth quarter. You would be surprised at how many fumbles and interceptions that took place that made you say, why were they running that play?
Yeah.
When you got the game in hand.
Well, the stadium I love has the same kind of history, Coach.
Huh?
The stadium I love has the same kind of history. Jared Hare gets a little freaky at night on Saturdays.
Well,
that's a different level.
Exactly the point that I'm making. You can never underestimate what can happen at Missouri at night. Strange things happen. And when I say strange, I'm talking like turnovers that you wouldn't imagine, that you'll sit here and say, honestly, this is what could actually happen. This could be a conversation we could have next week. Why did Josh Heupel have Milton drop back and throw a 14-yard out on a 3rd and 2 when you were up by 7 points? And it ended up being an interception. That was a pick 6 that you ran back. Now the game is tied, and now Josh is going to do the same thing, except now it's a strip fumble on the quarterback. Missouri may not do nothing at all with the ball other than get a field goal, went out of that ball game, won it by 3, and it was a 10-point swing or 10 unanswered points over you sitting here saying, what was Tennessee thinking? It's the strange things that happen in that stadium at night. Those are the strange things that happen. When you say, well, man, they were holding them on defense. Why would they not just ran the ball, run down a little bit more of that clock, then punt the ball? You're up by 7, but you tried to go for a 14, 15-yard completion that ended up being a pick 6. Strange things happen in that stadium at night. So it's going to be one of those games where Tennessee is going to hang around for a little while. But I honestly think that in the end, Missouri wins this game. So I got Georgia, Michigan, Washington, Missouri, Oregon.
All right.
Nice.
Before we cap this show off, anybody got anything else they want to add?
I do. I have a one. This is a scenario show. I got another scenario. This is one, me and one of my good buddies. We had two-turn Tony. We had him running in circles, pissed off. All right, so here's your scenario. Florida State, Michigan, Washington. They all went out. That's 3 locks, right? They're all 12-0, 13-0. They're all in. So then your 4th spot, you have a 1-loss Texas, Big 12 champ, 1-loss Alabama, SEC champ. Who gets the 4th spot?
Texas.
Got to be Texas head to head,
Texas
right?
head to head.
Mhm.
But two-turn Tony said there's no way they keep a 1-loss Bama SEC.
I'm sure he has the Bama math going for him, which goes back to, well, I look at the quarterback that started the second game, passed for someone. I mean, dude, you want to talk about scenarios? A Bama fan can give you the best scenarios you ever heard in your life.
Preach.
Before you even start believing them.
I just want to clip him this so he knows he's crazy. Texas is getting in that scenario.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I mean, I think it even said that they had a higher chance of getting in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I'm gonna take a look at that. Texas.
Hey, another weird thing. Josh Heupel still kind of weirds me out because he looks like Hank Hill's son, Bobby.
Damn it, Bobby.
I mean, he looks just like him. Like, get a comparison picture. Just Google comparison like Josh Heupel and Bobby Hill. They look like twins, man. It's creepy.
Which y'all
It
probably
is.
know it better than me and Dalton. I had to do the research on it. Did y'all know how good of a quarterback he was?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You never seen Josh Heupel play?
No, I just saw that he was a Heisman finalist. Mike Leach was his QB coach in OC.
Yeah, he was a
Man.
boss.
He was awesome.
That was one of the first teams that did the West Coast spread, like run and gun. Like
He didn't win the Heisman and went straight to pecan pie.
Well, honestly, when they hired him at Tennessee, that's when I knew right then and there, if you are in the SEC East, you better start recruiting you some DBs.
Yeah.
He's going to throw the ball
all
over the field. He's going to throw it. I mean, this man, everybody wants to give Tennessee credit for the running backs that they got. It's not the fact that you got the running back. You got a coach that'll literally script 15 plays at the beginning of the game, and all 15 are passing plays, and 5 of them were slants.
Yeah.
Before he even turned around and gave the ball to a running back.
And he's recruited quarterbacks well too, Coach. I mean, he's got some stud quarterbacks down there, man.
Yeah, but he's going to sling it. And I mean, that's the way he was when he was in college. Dude, he slung the ball, but you know, Nebraska ain't that now. But
that is
at the same time, that he was okay. I'll put it to you this way.
I think he was the Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. The last time Oklahoma was quote unquote relevant was when it got closer to the Baker Mayfield stage. Josh Heupel was the last thing that was really there.
Mhm.
And he's a college head coach now. But dude, he would literally sling it the whole ball game. I think he actually had RPOs before they were RPOs. And
Hey,
when he
Coach,
went to the sidelines, you wanted to beat him, but you couldn't because it worked.
I pulled up his numbers, Heupel's numbers in 99 and 2000 when he started as quarterback. Passed for 3,460 yards junior year and passed for 3,392 his senior year. And this is the 90s.
Yeah.
He was slinging it in the,
He was
in the
slinging the rock,
90s
baby.
when it was all about running backs.
Yes. This is the late
True.
90s. It was 3 yards in a cloud of dust, except for Spurrier.
So when he came to Tennessee, I already knew, boy, we got to get some DBs. And people were like, why y'all worried about Tennessee? I'm like, I'm not worried about Tennessee. I'm worried about Tennessee's coach, because this man is going to throw the ball all game long. I guarantee if you break down their play percentage, I guarantee he's 65-35.
Well, I did find an interesting stat to close it off. If Alabama won out and was a one-loss SEC champ and Texas was a one-loss Big 12 champ, it says that Alabama would have a 5% better of a chance to make it to the college football playoff. So that's probably what Two-Turn Tony done got his brain filled up with. He was probably
Nick
playing
Saban
around with this
effect.
thing.
They're going to
So-
put us in because Nick Saban is our coach. No, you don't deserve to be there. That team whooped y'all tail on national TV. You don't deserve
And
to
you're
be there.
at your house. I mean, that's the big part. You
That's
know,
I mean, the bottom line is it should be, if Alabama beat Georgia in the SEC championship and Texas win their conference championship, then that means that Nick Saban and Kirby should have both of their teams at the same cookout watching the ball game.
Yep.
agreed. Well, we always appreciate you watching this college football show. It's always a pleasure to have you guys on here. This has been the Chop and Block podcast presented by DJ's Clam Shack here in St. Augustine, Florida. Man, we love college football. Just give us some more. Then we just go round 2 when we have the college football playoff. But I don't think we'll get our wish, fellas. It's going to be a long, long winter, spring, and summer. But, Dylan, you know how to send us home.
Thought and drop that shit.
Yeah, we about to do it. Watch us get into it. We some number